I'm Kenneth Wajda. I'm a professional photographer here in Colorado. Welcome to another one of my photo chats. Happy Saturday. So today I'm going to talk about Lee Miller. If you haven't seen or heard, there's a new biopic film out about Lee Miller with the title character being played by Kate Winslet, and I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it. I saw a strong woman who is working with a Rolleiflex. She was a model for Man Ray back in the early 1900s, and she ended up working for Vogue as a model, but then she said, I want to go and photograph during the war, World War II, and she had learned photography through Man Ray. So she took a Rolleiflex, and she took this Rolleiflex, which I'm like, oh, I have that Rolleiflex when I saw it. I want to take it with me, and I want to have a camera that I think I'm going to shoot just a few frames with it, or a few rolls with it, just so I can, if I can't get the lid off, there you go. I'm going to shoot a few frames so I can just experience what she experienced. It's on frame 2, so I'm actually out doing it. But she would shoot with this cover on. I've never been one to leave the cover on a Rolleiflex, but it's kind of fun the way it kind of goes, boop, boop, and locks up, and then you can just go, boop, boop. And so all throughout the film, she's carrying this camera. It's a camera from 1936, I believe, and it's one of the first Rolleiflexes. And the filmmakers and the story really works well to tell her story, but it also gets all the camera parts right. She really uses this camera the way this camera needs to be used. She really focuses and shoots. In fact, they said that Kate Winslet learned to use it, and she actually did shoot throughout the film just to have authenticity. And those photos are photos that you can see online. They've made some links about some of her photographs and what she photographed. And also, they recreated Lee Miller's photographs in live action to the point where Kate Winslet photographs that moment, and you can see how the photographs of Lee Miller influenced the filmmakers to make this film. I really liked it a lot, and I thought it was a strong portrayal of a strong woman. Kate Winslet is always amazing, and the Rolleiflex, if I had to say anything that wasn't completely accurate, she seemed to be shooting an awful lot, and I saw her change film once. And she only had one camera around her neck. It was this camera with a little flash synchronization piece added to it. And other than that piece, it's the same camera. And she used it throughout the film, only one camera, and she never changed film except for one time at the end of the film. Now, when I read about Lee Miller, she actually had two cameras, and she would probably back and forth between the two and keep loading them, but they didn't show loading. And I thought that was a little bit funny because for people like us who know photography, 12 frames doesn't go very far. But she is known for having photographed herself with the aid of another photographer. She is the one who is sitting in Hitler's bathtub. They had taken over, the Americans had taken over Hitler's residency, and people were like, they needed to get a bath. And she said, I'm going to go in and take a bath. And she got in the tub, and she told the Life magazine photographer that was befriending her throughout the film, take my picture. And they even took his picture in the bathtub, but nobody wants to see that. And she ended up getting very well known for having made a photograph of herself in Hitler's bathtub. But she's a strong, hardworking person who was like not just willing to just sit back and just, be the model. And she was willing to go and do the work. At first she couldn't get work because she was British, and she was in Britain, but she couldn't get, was that right? She in Britain? I think she was in Britain. She couldn't get any kind of credentials from the British Vogue, but she said, well, I'm an American. So then she got an American press pass, and that helped her get into the war zone, and she could go out and photograph. And her photographs are considered some of the best photographs and the earliest photographs of the concentration camps, and they're really difficult. In fact, I think she was plagued with PTSD the rest of her life after having witnessed what she did, and she had a pretty tough life. But her biopic is a really strong film. It's just called Lee, and if by the time you see this, I'm betting it won't be in theaters anymore. But it was wonderful to see it in a theater, and when it comes around on streaming, it's certainly worthwhile watching, and you get to see the Rolleiflex all throughout the film. All right, that's today's photography talk. Hey, if you're enjoying these, hit the subscribe button. If you can support, hit the Patreon. Thanks to all my supporters. I appreciate you. I'll be back next week. We'll talk more photography. As always, here's the good light.